All right. Hello, boys and girls. Thank you for joining me. I was just playing the intro to You've Got a Friend in Me. You can find that on YouTube. You can find so much on YouTube. In fact, you can teach yourself guitar strictly through YouTube. And that's what I'm here to help you do. So we're going to go through a very basic lesson. We're going to cover issues such as finding and picking out a good guitar to play. One thing you want to look for is just something that's easy to play. You do not want to frustrate yourself by playing a crap guitar that you found at a garage sale or picked up at Walmart for $30. Okay, look to spend at least $100 on a decent to play guitar. I've had very good luck with Yamahas actually from any kind of music store. You know, they run about $100 if you want to spend that little. And if you spend more, I mean, quality, you pay for your quality oftentimes, you know, getting something that's going to be set up better for you. And by set up, you know, ease of play. One thing you want to look for is like the action, like the height of the strings here above the fretboard, okay? That can actually be adjusted by two things. Inside of the guitar there, see that nut in there? It's called a truss rod. And if you're looking down your guitar, for instance, you want to look down probably from this end, you know, and you see like it's bent, you know, that way. You want to tighten up that truss rod to bring it flat. Another way you can affect the action is through the saddle here, you know, making sure that's set properly. You know, you might want to have somebody who knows what they're doing mess with that aspect of it. But your truss rod you can fix yourself. Get in an Allen wrench, you know, make sure your strings are all real loose and get in there and just, you know, sometimes your truss rod axis is going to be up here and it might be covered by a plate with some screws, you know, and take that off and, you know, little adjustments, okay, not too much. So that's your first thing, finding a guitar that is going to be easy to play. That's a must. That's a must moving forward. Second of all, making sure that your guitar is in tune. Now, you'll notice that I have something attached to my guitar here. This is what's called a capo, and it's for quickly changing the key. You know, I plink it here, that brings up the voicing, okay, changing the key quite easily. Now, what I do on my guitar is I keep my guitar detuned a half steps. I've been a full-time musician now for 10 years, and that has helped me since I play a couple hours a day. It helps me with ease of playing for the fretting hand mostly, you know. You know, if you're putting too much stress on your wrists and tendons and tension, you have to press down those chords for a couple hours a day. It makes a difference for me, especially. And besides which, your tuning, if I tuned up to the fret, to the end here, opened, you know, whatever tuning, and then I put this on, the tension of that capo is actually going to bring it a little bit sharp, okay? So for me, yeah, it becomes my, the end of my guitar here, right at 1. So just keep that in mind. So basically, here are the notes of, your strings are numbered rather, 1 to 6. Okay, this is your 6th string. Here's your 1st string. So that's how they're referred to. And starting with your 6th string, it's going to be an E. 5th string is A. 4th string is D. 3rd string is G. 2nd string is B. And your 1st string is an E. That is the notes that you're aiming for. So pick yourself up a tuner. It can come pretty cheap, maybe $10 can get you a tuner, just to make sure you're always keeping that thing in tune, keeping your guitar in tune. Now, you can actually tune up your guitar now to this really quickly. I'm just going to pluck the notes, make sure we're in tune. So pluck your strings along with me. If you've You can tune it to open, by the way, okay? This represents open tuning for you if you're tuning it all the way up to standard tuning. There's your E. A, D, G. Hit that one again. Here's your B and E and E. Go for that last one. Okay, so if you didn't catch that, you know what? I'm gonna put a link in the description to a video where you can tune your guitar up to somebody who goes through that process a whole lot slower. All right, so pause. Go do that. Come back. All right, we're going to move along here. There are 8 basic chords. I'm going to put that up on the screen now. 8 basic chords that you must know to call yourself a guitar player. Okay? 5 major chords and 3 minor chords. We're going to go through those, and I'm going to explain a little bit about some things you should know about these chords. Okay, chords are based on notes in a scale. Say, for instance, we're doing the G chord, which I'll show you right now. There are 2 ways to play the G chord, and these emphasize and double up different notes of that scale. The 1, 3, and 5, okay, are the notes that you're doubling up through, like say for instance, a G chord. This is one way to play a G chord. This is how I started playing a G chord. This is the G chord to play if you are playing in the key of C. If you're playing in the key of G, you might as well just do this. It doubles up the 5th note in this case, okay? Playing it like that. So I got my finger here on the 3rd fret. It's your middle finger on your 3rd fret, index on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. And then these middle 2 are open, and then you're fretting with your ring finger the 3rd fret of your B string, with your pinky the 3rd fret of the 1st string, okay? And notice where my fingers are. This is very important, okay? Very important for every chord you play. Make sure your fingers are very close to that fret mark. See that fret mark? My fingers are very close. Get them right up to it, okay? You don't want them back here, okay? That's going to create buzzing and unnecessary pressure that you don't need to do. Get them right up next to that fret. Very important. Now I want to show you real quick just a major scale and where those of the G. This is your root note, okay? The G, if we're playing a G chord, G is going to be your root note. Starting on your root note, that's your 1 note. 1, 2, 3. See, there's your 3rd already. That's part of the chord, right? 4, 5. That's part of the chord too, which that is the same as the open D. See how I'm strumming? That's your 5th. Well, here's your open D. Okay? The D note is the 5th note of the G scale. So there's your 1, 3, and 5, and those are just doubled up here now. If you're playing this, you got your 1, 3, 5, 1, 5, 1 again at the end. Now, if you had this off, like that different way of playing it, that's going to be a 3rd note, G. So there's your G, or this. Those are your 2 options, playing a G. We're moving along to the next chord, E. Nice full chord, taking advantage of all those 6 strings, just like that G chord did. All right. So you can see that, practice that. We're going to move on to the next chord already, A. Now the next thing I want to mention, this is the first chord I'm showing you that we're muting a note, okay? We are muting this top string. Sometimes, oftentimes, I will just bring my thumb around and do that. We're muting it. We're just lightly touching it to deaden the sound. Okay, I'm plucking it, nothing, no sounds coming out. Now, What you'll see oftentimes in diagrams is getting 3 fingers in there. I have never played my A chord that way. I've always just used one chord, one finger, and you angle it up at the end here to let that last string play. Make sure that's playing. Okay, that's what you're aiming for. And all the rest are clear sounding. Pluck them out each individually. Make sure you're not muting something. Okay, there's your A. Got that? And then we're muting that top. Now, oftentimes when I'm strumming, I'll just aim for that fifth. I've gotten pretty good at it to where I'm starting on that fifth string and not on the top, you know, sixth string. Okay, moving on to the next chord, the D. This is more important of muting this top string here, this sixth string, that E. You do not want that ringing because that's not part of this chord. Now the fifth string, interestingly, that A there, that is part of the chord. So it's okay if it's included, but don't aim for it. When you're strumming, aim for that fourth string, okay? If you accidentally hit that fifth one, make sure you're muting the C though, okay? And notice how the chord, okay, I've got it on either side, index finger, middle finger on either side, and then I bring in my ring finger in the middle. Notice where my fingers are, up close to the fret mark. There's your D chord. Okay, we talked about muting this. Now, going on to the C chord. There you go. Notice where my fingers are. Starting with that index finger, plunking down that C note. That is actually your root note. Well, not, it is the root note, but we oftentimes refer to the root note as the bass note as well. Okay, so that's over here. That's a C as well. So got your C here, index finger, and then skip a string. We're on our fourth string there. The D, it would have been an open D string. We're fretting it there to make it an E, which is a third of that C scale, and then bringing in that one. And I'm making this finger fat to touch the top string, okay? It's touching that E to mute it. Okay, that's your C. Make sure, pluck each one to make sure they're ringing clearly, okay? You kind of want your fingers kind of more coming in perpendicular. Mine are kind of angled a little bit. That's okay. Just whatever's comfortable for you. And here's another tip, okay? Don't press these strings any harder than you have to, okay? You want to get really comfortable, and this should become natural for you. And an encouragement, press through that first month. These are still strings. They're going to dig into your fingers. It's going to hurt. Be persistent, press through it. Do you want to play guitar or not? Press through it. You'll get those calluses and it won't hurt you anymore. It doesn't hurt me at all. I've been playing for 10 years now. Full-time musician. How awesome is that? I actually get to entertain at nursing homes. That's one of the things I do. I play at farmer markets. I play for weddings. My wife and I are worship leaders. So we have all kinds of avenues where we're using our music. We write and record CDs. Subscribe to this channel. You'll get to hear some of those songs. We just released a music video, Come Lord Jesus, featuring our family, and an amazing song about just how Jesus transforms our lives when he comes into our lives. He brings spring with him. That's what that song's all about. And he's coming again, hence the Come Lord Jesus. So yeah, it's by the way, as you're learning these chords, but we just went through the 5 major chords. All right, we're making a dent in it. By the way, I'll just mention, it's never too early to start writing songs. Use some of these chords, string them together in your own creative way. A lot of the musicians out there, they will do this. They're breaking and bending the rules of what, you know, because you're going to learn early on, like, oh, certain chords, they fit in certain keys. Well, not necessarily. You can bend and break these rules, make some interesting sounds that way. Okay, you're going to write some of your most creative songs earliest in your guitar playing career if you don't be so rigid with the rules, okay? So moving on to those minor chords here. Okay, here's E minor. Okay, we got that E minor, E shaped, right? We're gonna lift up that index finger, okay? It's just these two strings. Okay, there's your E minor. Make sure you're not muting stuff on either side. E minor. Another thing I sometimes do is I'll play it with one finger, covering both those strings. So there's that. E minor. Now we're moving on to A minor. Be sure to mute this top string, okay? Because your root note is starting on that open fifth string, the A. A minor. You see where I'm at? It's kind of like that C, starting with that C. But okay, and then you're bringing these two. Cover those frets. Keep your fingers close to the frets. Got to remind you that. You don't want them straying too far back. It makes it difficult on yourself. And won't sound as awesome. And then we got our D minor. So there's your A minor. Okay. And then we got our D minor. Make sure you're muting this A string again. There's your D minor. Okay, I'm covering this last string like that, and then bringing in half of that shape of the D there. Okay, it's basically like that D chord. Remember that D chord? And then I'm flattening the third there to make it a minor. Okay, so those are the three minor chords. Congratulations, we've made it through. I'll put up that screen again so you can look at the diagram. You can download this at reflectworship.com. There'll be links to the blog post. I'm going to post these chords up there for you to print out and practice. Yeah, and other information as well. Please subscribe to this channel for more lessons like this and more. I'm going to teach you how to play a song in using open E chords, just some really beautiful sounding open E chords. So thank you all for watching. Be sure to subscribe, give it a thumbs up if it was beneficial to you. And we'll see you for the next lesson. I'm going to be teaching some worship songs and mainly focusing on some of those hymns. All right, so we're starting a hymn series. I'm going to revamp some of the older recordings I've made and just re-record them in a better way and teach you how to play them. I got some really fun versions of hymns coming up. So stay tuned, subscribe. Thank you all for watching. Bye now.